Purnachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki Jai, Shri Shri Vijay Gauranga Dharnita ki Jai, Jai Gaur Pramanandi. Can I have a pillow? Hare Krishna. Good morning. Today we'll read from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, chapter 5, text number 8. So Narada Muni is telling Maharaj Yudhishthira the story of Prahlad Maharaj. So we saw that he answered in a certain way to Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu took it kind of lightly, but he told the teachers, hey, be careful with this child. Don't let these Vaishnavas contaminate him. So now we see that the teachers try to convince Prahlad Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Griyamanitamaahuya Praradham Daitya Yajakaha Prashasya Shlakshnaya Vacha Samaprichanta Samabhihi. Griham. Oh, sorry, you want to read? Griham, to the place of the teachers, Shanda and Amarka. Anitan, brought. Auya, calling. Praradam, Pralhad. Daitya Yajakaha, the priests of the demon, Hiranyakashipu. Prashasya, by pacifying. Shlakshnaya, with a very mild. Vacha, voice. Samaprichanta, they questioned. Samabihi, by very agreeable words. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. When Hiranyakashipu servants brought the boy Prahlad back to the Gurukula, place where the Brahmanas taught the boys, the priests of the demons, Shanda and Amarka, pacified him with very mild voices and affectionate words. They inquired from him as follows. So stay tuned for what they're going to say. Purport. Shanda and Amarka, the priests of the demons, were eager to know from Prahlad Maharaj who the Vaishnavas were that came to instruct him in Krishna consciousness. Their purpose was to discover the names of these Vaishnavas. In the beginning, they did not threaten the boy, because when threatened, he might not identify the real culprits. Therefore, they very mildly and peacefully inquired as follows. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnanjana Salakaya Chakshuramnitam Mina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo Namo Shivadaya Krishna Ramatarine Namam Vishabhadaya Krishna Vistaya Budare Shrimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanshakalpatarubhischa Grivasindhuvyacha Patitanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna. So since the purport, the translation mentions the Gurukula, I thought to discuss in Gurukula. And so we have for you a PowerPoint offered to you by the Gaura Academy in Mayapur, entitled Varnashram without Gurukula, it's just a hobby. Varnashram without Gurukula, it's just a hobby. Hobby is not something bad. There are hobbies which are very healthy, like walking or painting, music, or swimming. But it's something that you don't do professionally. You do most for entertainment. So when we discuss Varnashram, but we don't discuss or we don't focus on Gurukula, it's mostly just a hobby. And I'll explain why. Now, if you have been around in ISKCON more than 4 hours, you know that Varnashram discussions go on, and there are many, many sides or many controversies or many opinions like that. So the question is, the point is that you have to establish Varnashram. Srila Prabhupada said this in the morning walk, Mayapur, February 76. This is actually ISKCON Mayapur before even the gate. This is the original gate. Now there is a huge gate built, but this was Mayapur at that time, I mean, before 76. So, but Srila Prabhupada, this is an important instruction because it's especially given in the morning walk with all the leaders, the GBCs, the major senior leaders were there in the morning walk. And Srila Prabhupada said, you have to establish Varnashram. And you have heard different ideas. What does it mean to establish Varnashram? What's the role of this and that and the other thing? So there is some discussion. And the question is, what can we agree on? I believe we can all agree that we want good brahmacharis. I don't think anybody objects to that. That we want good grihastas, responsible, steady, charitable, productive. We want good vanaprasthas, retired, detached, and we want good sannyasis, renounced, learned, exemplary. And then we want that all the devotees be engaged, in the long run especially, be engaged according to their natures, according to, say, the general Varna psychophysical setup. So intellectuals should be the intellectual, administrators should be administrators, tradesmen, businessmen, productive people should do that, and other people can support with their skills like that. Okay, so I think we can all agree on that. So, Srila Prabhupada, so this Varnashram mission, we could say, as a very broad project. This is something that he said in Vrindavan in 74. Now you be trained up and revise the whole edition of the Western civilization, especially in America. Then a new chapter will come in. This is the program. Therefore, Varnashram school required. So one may not immediately, of course, there is the whole morning walk or conversation, but one may not be catch immediately the logic. Okay, you have to change the world. Therefore, Varnashram school is required. Because obviously, first thing is preparation. First thing is training. See, a society, a type of civilization, a type of culture, has a certain values, a certain way they live, they think, they act, they interact. So they create a certain type of education. And why these arrows? A society creates a type of education, a type of schooling, and then they create a schooling which is meant to fit back into the society, to prepare those children to fit in that society. So for instance, in an industrial society, the schooling, it's geared toward creating people that fit in that industrial society. A manager, like for instance, in India, so many students go and take engineering or computer programming, now AI, and so on, because in the society, the values and the functioning of the society determines the education, the schooling, and that the type of schooling creates the society. So it's a circle. So if we want to create, like Srila Prabhupada say, a new edition of the world, we had to focus what kind of education will create those type of people. It's like a tree. If we want to do Varnashram, an harmonious society, God-centered, and of course we're not talking about the caste system, we're talking about an organic, harmonious society with God in the center and spiritual life as a major drive. So the education is the root. And what's that education? It's obviously not any education. I mean, there are so many schools around here, you may notice, but that's not for creating Varnashram members. See, Srila Prabhupada said in the Bhagavatam, in the system of Varnashram, which is the beginning of actual human life, small boys after 5 years of age are sent to become brahmachari at the Guru's ashram. Guru's ashram, of course, is another expression for Gurukula. So that education that we are talking about is Gurukula and Varnashram school. So Srila Prabhupada said in the same morning walk, from 5 to 10 years, Gurukula. And after 10 years, they should go to the Varnashram college. This is a broad indication. Now it could be 10, could be 11. That's, don't take it maybe absolutely, but the idea is that from 5 to 10, they build their character, they build their inner vision, they build their priorities in life, they build their taste and their culture in Gurukula. By Gurukula, I mean full immersion Krishna conscious school. Now, if they stay at home in the night or they stay in the ashram, those are really details. We are talking about full immersion Krishna conscious school. So from 5 to 10, Gurukula. And then Varnashram college, where their vocation is identified, what they will do in life. Will there be intellectuals, translators, editors, writers, pujaris? Will there be administrators, managers? Will there be tradesperson, businessmen, productive people? Or they will learn a skill with which they can maintain their families and help the society. Okay, so this is our founder Acharya general idea. In Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto, so next chapter of what we are learning, Srila Prabhupada explained formally the Brahmanas, Kshatras, and Vaishya, everyone but the Shudras, were trained in the Gurukula. There have consequently been many instances in which great kings and emperors have given up household life. They could give up all their possessions because they were trained early as brahmacharis. In other words, the Vaishnava schooling is not just to prepare the boy or the girl to get a job, and that's it. No, it's also a root of a culture that later on will facilitate detachment. Because when the children have this experience of full immersion, then okay, they get out of the system when they're 15 or 20, they may do their family life and all that for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, but then naturally they want to get out and go back to that atmosphere. So you see even great kings and emperors have given up household life. Why? They were able to do that because they've been to Gurukula. So it's more of an education that illuminates and permeates the whole existence. It's not just, okay, I build some skills, then I can market, I can make some money. That's part of it, but it's not the main part. So, basically, when you have strong roots, then you have a strong tree. See, these are very strong roots. So this tree probably won't be knocked off at the first storm. So, see, these children, they take shelter in the very strong roots of this huge tree. So that's Gurukul and Varnashram college. And then their life is set in the best of ways. Of course, if we if we give them a pleasant, productive experience. Then they can fit in the 4 ashram and the 4 varnas. They can fit. Otherwise it will be very hard for them, because if they grow up as Milechas, how from Milecha they jump into Varnashram? Doesn't work like that. Okay, so these 3 obviously did not have very strong roots. Huh? In fact, something happened and the whole thing. So Varnashram, without strong roots, it just falls off at the first wind, basically. So Gurukula, I repeat this concept, this analogy, Gurukula is the root of Varnashram. So Varnashram without Gurukula is just a hobby. We are talking to creating society, this, that, where you fit, where I fit, and this and that. But ultimately largely it's talk. Of course, can be useful for us. Personally, okay, we work on our identity, on where we fit, what's our best, should we remain brahmachari, should we enter grihastha ashram, should we take sannyas? But if we talk about society, what to speak of influencing society, then it's more or less just talk. Now, a few quotes where Srila Prabhupada stresses the importance of Gurukula. Letter to Mohananda. If you become headmaster of the Gurukula, that is more important than going to South America. This is the most important post in pushing on this movement. Because you create the future leaders, you create the future, you create the new generation, you shape the new generations. Most important post. A letter to Stoka Krishna. 20 June, my birthday. I was 9 years old. I was not in Gurukul though. I consider this Gurukula school to be one of our most important aspects of this movement, and it should be given all serious considerations by the members. Now, Srila Prabhupada did not only write these things, he personally pushed the establishment of Gurukul first in Dallas, then in Vrindavan. So it was not just theoretically speaking. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada gives some description of Vedic life, but he may not expect us to really do it. But Gurukul, he gave so much energy. This photo, for instance, there are many, but this photo is not AI. It's not AI generated. I didn't say, okay, put Srila Prabhupada, put some kids. No, this is real. This is real people. Okay. Letter to Dayananda and Nandarani, a couple. Gurukula is our most important project. So it's important for us to absorb the mood of the founder Acharya. Like we do Guru Puja, and obviously it shouldn't be just a ritual, we should understand. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Korya Haikya. Arana Koryo Mane Asha means I don't have any other desire than have my consciousness purified by the words emanating by his lotus mouth, right? So these are the words emanating from his lotus mouth. So they should illuminate our strategies and projects. And now a couple of quotes from the Bhagavatam, just to stress, because some people may say, no, but those are personal letters, just encourage them. But Bhagavatam is public, Bhagavatam is solemn, Bhagavatam is forever, at least for 2,000 years, whatever. So in the 7th canto, in the same chapter that we are studying, later on, Srila Prabhupada writes, in our Krishna consciousness movement, the Gurukul plays an extremely important part in our activities. Because right from childhood, the boys at the Gurukula are instructed about Krishna consciousness. Thus, they become steady within the course of their hearts. So, two expression, extremely important part. And why? Because so the children become steady within the course of their hearts. Now, we have seen, practically speaking, the children, of course, they were not that pleasant, normal experiences. Even after, maybe in the teenager here, they want to experience the world, experience some drugs, experience some extracurricular activities. But after some time, they come back to Krishna consciousness because in the core of their hearts, they love Krishna. They are brainwashed. In other words, their brain has been washed. And so they have the taste. And so to whatever extent of commitment and practice, sadhana and so on, but they remain steady. At least in that attraction for Krishna. Now the purport, fourth canto, it is necessary for the leaders of the Krishna consciousness movement to start educational institutions in different parts of the world, to train children starting at the age of 5 years. Thus, such children can all become devotees of the Lord. The face of the world will then change automatically. Why? Because these saintly characters will move around and they influence people. And for them, it will be a realized, assimilated thing. It's not like a label, okay, I'm a Hare Krishna. No, for them, they're deeply, deeply Krishna conscious. Okay, so this is the preliminary aspects, just to emphasize the words of the founder Acharya. Any questions so far? Any comments so far? Yes.
Maybe you can enlighten me because Varnashram is really important, but there's something, only the children of the Shudras.
All the
children of the Shudras don't have to go to the Gurukul. So why only the other ashram and not the Shudra children? Because what is some difference between Krishna? But yeah.
Okay, so first of all, we are not talking children of Shudras necessarily, we are talking Shudras. So a child of a Shudra may not be a Shudra. That's a little bit a footnote. But this is more, Srila Prabhupada was talking about the past. So what Srila Prabhupada wanted for ISKCON is that all children go to Gurukul. In the past, in the Vedic age, whatever, Shudra did not need to go because a Shudra, say for instance, a carpenter, doesn't need to learn much, doesn't need to learn the mantras, doesn't need to learn diplomacy like Prahlad Maharaj. They're trying to impose on Prahlad Maharaj. They don't need to learn trading. They need to learn a craft. So generally, you are the son of a carpenter, you learn the carpentry. But from when you're 10, you're already in the carpentry workshop. So you become very good. You earn very well, or at least you can maintain yourself. When you are 16, 18, you can get married. You already have a skill. You're in a village. People know you can build carts. You can build furniture. You can build altars. You can build harmoniums. And you're settled. And you don't need. See, this is a little sidebar. The Western society often think, oh, everybody should study, but many people are not meant for study. Many people are meant to work when they're 14. That's the nature, because otherwise they become restless and they create chaos in the school. So, but was not the basis on birth, it was basis on nature. See, some children hate being in class. They just hate. You've all been to. And remember some of your schoolmates, they were just not meant to be there. It's like a fish out of water. Okay? We could talk more, but that's the basic idea. Yes, Prabhu.
Instructing Mahananda Prabhu not to go to South America.
Ah.
Become much more global, so that he will be effective in producing some leaders who can be, the guide for the world. This is the ideal situation Prabhupada is envisioned, that's a fact. But the reality of life today is, yes, somebody is training, he has certain set of values want to inculcate in the lives of the students. Once they are trained, then sent back to their respective places where they are under the guidance of some leaders who are very much attached to their me and my concept of life. I want.
You mean ISKCON leaders? No, you didn't want to say. You want to say ISKCON leaders in general. That they are attached to their concept of life.
Then they have their way of, they compromise the value, actual standards what the leaders should have, because I am not trained and I have my way of doing things. I want, no, just listen to me. I am a leader, what I say. So then the values are compromised. Then what can you get out of such kind of training system established that some values are taught? Afterward, they're sent to some leaders who are compromising the standards, and then because they have their personal interest in executing their duties.
Okay, see, I'm not 100% aware. You must think of some real examples, some boys they went to some place and the situation you describe.
This is the general thing. Anybody can, without mentioning any case study, you can see this is what is kind of the reality of life is today.
Okay, my answer will be this. You started by saying that Mohananda Prabhu, the letter to Mohananda Prabhu is very important to create leaders. Now, real leaders are not so affected by whatever circumstantial situation they find. Like, for instance, you are a leader, you had this value for education, and you build up the Mayapur Institute. Now, I don't know how much the management help you. Of course, they got you the land, but collecting and establishing the courses and getting the teachers, that was your contribution because you had values, you had vision, you had the project. So the leaders, local leaders, might help you a lot or not so much. I'm just giving one example, but because you are a leader, you did what you did and you're doing what you're doing and you're expanding and so on. You're Bhakti Shastra, Bhakti Vedanta, so many things now I'm not going to list. So if you say, well, if we succeed creating real leaders, and by leaders I mean Dvijas, Vaishyas, Kshatriya, and Brahmanas, they will not be so affected. Yeah, there may be some leaders who are quite dysfunctional or fanatical or just stagnant in their vision. They may not encourage these boys or these girls. But if these are solid people, okay, either they move somewhere else or they create their own project. No, a businessman create his own business from anywhere, and a leader or an administrator can administer so many different things. A brahmana, if he has support, good. Otherwise, he finds his own support, he finds his own inspiration. In other words, when we talk about leaders, we mean mainly people who are self-motivated. You don't have to give every day, tell what to do. They're responsible and they have a vision for their own field of activities, and they do. Sometimes they find favorable circumstances, and sometimes they find unfavorable circumstances. But if they are really leaders, otherwise they're what in Varnashram we call Shudras. They need a job, they need somebody who engage them. Jai, Shishi Gaurnitai Ki Jai. So Lord Chaitanya, Vijay Gauranga, he when he was a teacher in Navadvip, then he got married. He said, oh, I need some money. He went to Bangladesh, what's today Bangladesh, to teach and get some donation, right? It's not like It's not like it's there rolling his thumbs, what to do, I need a job, No, he just went. Of course, he's Lord Chaitanya, but he gave the example how a Brahmana works. He has a vision and he manifests the vision. So I'll continue because I have so many more slides. But again, are we talking leaders or are we talking people who need to be psychologically dependent? Yes, people who are psychologically dependent depend on a lot on whom they find. Sometimes they find good leaders, sometimes they find people who exploit them. Just some time back, I was talking in Mayapur, and they were with the devotee who had served in Gurukul as in a leadership position, teaching position. He was saying, now some boys come out of Gurukula and they look for jobs in Mayapur, and maybe they go to the Govinda restaurant and they offer them 10,000 rupees a month or 8,000 rupees a month. 8,000 rupees a month is less than 100 euros. Less than 100 euros a month. But again, those are not leaders.
I have another question, Prabhuji. Like Prabhupada is talking about.
This is the last question for now. Then we will take, if there's time, we'll take questions at the end because I have the whole thing. Yes.
Talking about this, children really celebrate at the age of 5, they should be trained nicely so that they will understand we'll revise their inclination and they will then be referring to their inclinations way of life. But the point is, every living entity is born with their previous impressions in life. And that's a very important ingredient how they shape their life. So
you mean there's samskaras, there's vasanas?
Yeah. But before that, therefore, there is a system of Garbhadan Sanskar.
Yes.
So without going through these sanskaras, just random somebody giving birth to a baby, how much can you uplift the consciousness of the baby just by sending him to Google at the age of 5 when they have not been conceived by following the Garbhadan Sanskar, supporting the temple route for a good character?
Yes, a lot. The answer is you can change them a lot. That's why Srila Prabhupada says this, that when they go to Gurukul, they can become steady within the course of the heart. Now, if they come from a good pedigree, meaning if they're being conceived through Garbhadan Samskara, and they did all the samskara when the mother was pregnant, then Jata Karma, Namkarana, and all these things, they're good. But Krishna consciousness, as you know, is very, very powerful. Just like, to give an example, you're doing the Mayapur Institute, mostly it's adult education. And people come from all over the place, from all over past, from all over background. Some people have been into drugs, some people have been atheists before, some people are doing this and that and the other thing. But when they come to Mayapur Institute, you give a strong shape. Why? Because you give them Bhagavad Gita's, the words of God. You give the Srimad Bhagavatam. You give practical instructions in many skills. So my answer to you is that even if children don't come from Garbhadan Samskara and all that, they can certainly transform in Gurukul.
What is the main ingredient?
What
is the main ingredient for their transformation?
Full immersion, Krishna conscious immersion. Srila Prabhupada gave the system. They get up in the morning, they take bath, they practice austerity, meaning they live very simply, they serve, they learn to cook, to be independent in the sense autonomous, self-sufficient. They go, they listen to Bhagavatam, they listen to Bhagavad Gita, they study in a Krishna conscious way, even say for instance, for learning English, they use Krishna book or the Srila Prabhupada books. And they live in an environment, kirtan, even when they play, Srila Prabhupada instructed the devotees to give them plays with Krishna, like, okay, somebody plays like Krishna, somebody plays like a cow. So they become fully absorbed, and then they get the taste. And then when they're a little older, you can start, or even when they're 5, but without forcing, you introduce japa, and so on. Srila Prabhupada gave this directions, these schedules, and so on. And I would say the parents should also be collaborative, cooperative, because sometimes there is a tug of war between the teacher and this parent. The teacher tries to give some standards, then they go home and they they eat all sorts of things. There must be a cooperation, supporting environment. So the question is, why it did not work? In fact, I mean, we are almost, next year ISKCON is 60, which in India is senior citizen. So why didn't actually our Gurukul adventure did not work? In general, there are some very good experiences. Some children have been very happy. They have very positive experiences and everything. But as a society, it did not work. Also did not work in the sense that we don't have them. We don't have Gurukulas. In the whole of Germany, there's no Gurukula. In the whole of Italy, in the whole of Spain, there's no Gurukula. In the whole of Europe, there's not even one Gurukul. They may have some Sunday school and things like that, but it's not full immersion Krishna conscious education. So my analysis is that Srila Prabhupada gave a very simple recipe that we did not follow in general. I'm talking in general. I'm talking a broad observation. The recipe was engage the best people in Gurukul and funding. You have to give enough money so that children are well taken care, they're well fed, they're well dressed, they have a nice place, nothing fancy, nothing glamorous or luxurious, but nice place, warm in the winter, fresh in the summer. So this is the simple recipe that Srila Prabhupada gave for the success of Gurukula. And I have a couple of quotes. Srila Prabhupada in the morning walk in Vrindavan said, teaching should be done by the sannyasis, just like in missionary school, the fathers teaches, the Christian fathers. Srila Prabhupada was in Scottish Church College, so he saw there were priests, married priests, because it was a Scottish church, it was not a Catholic church. Sannyasis, now we can discuss, are the sannyasis the best or best to have grihastas? The point here, what I understand, is that it should be done by the top people. And sannyasis generally are the top people, at least in Varnashram, sannyasi are the spiritual master of all the Varnas and all the ashrams. So Srila Prabhupada's vision is this. He wanted the best people to do the teachings of the children. And we don't see that. I mean, how many sannyasis are engaged directly with children? I don't know. Anybody you can think of? Well, I'm just say today, August 25. Another letter to Satsvarup Maharaj. That school, this is about Dallas, he was the GBC there. That school is very, very important business. And the best man must be found out for taking charge there and developing it nicely. Unfortunately, in the ISKCON history, we saw almost the opposite in some case. When people had problems, or people who did not have skills to sell, they couldn't sell books, they couldn't manage, they couldn't do anything, send them to Gurukul. For certain years, in the 80s, like that, so the 70s, sometimes the Gurukul was the dumping ground of the most useless people. Exactly the opposite. Some people cannot do anything useful, or he has a problem, okay, send him to the Gurukul. Not always, of course. They were always very good people, very very serious and everything. But sometimes this was happening. I saw it personally. So, Gurukul, best people.
That's still going on by the names in Dallas.
In Dallas, what?
The Gurukul, the school.
Gurukul?
They changed the name. Now it's Tamal Krishna.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's can qualify as a Gurukul, but it's a Krishna conscious school with Krishna conscious teachers. It's not really the Gurukul model. I mean, you can see, I mean, not as a criticism, just as an observation. We were in Dallas last year. The Gurukul the children come for what, 3 minutes to see the deities at 7 o'clock? That's the whole morning sadhana. They come, pay a business, they run to school. I mean, that's not exactly Srila Prabhupada standard. But it's not what Srila Prabhupada was talking about. Something is better than nothing, but it's not. But we appreciate this, the service, the efforts, of course. But I would hesitate to call it Gurukul. So, best people. Second recipe, money. All grihastas who are interested in doing business should do so in full swing. Let all the grihastas who wish to execute business full-fledgedly in the USA and in this way support Gurukul. The profits from the business should go to support Gurukul, and balance may be given for the local temple maintenance. So Srila Prabhupada, economically speaking, was giving first priority to school, and then whatever, temple maintenance. Of course, at the time, temples were full of brahmacharis, collecting, distributing books. It was a different economy. But you see the founder Acharya. The profits from the businesses should first go to support Gurukula. And this is something else that did not happen. Many Gurukulas really struggle for money. Really struggle for the basic thing. I'm not talking palatial building or extraordinary facilities. Basics, the basics. The clothes, the mattresses, the books, school books. Another quote on this. To Jagadish, the GBC should make an injunction that if they beget children, then whatever the expenses are for supporting Gurukul, they must pay for it. Sometimes I've seen personally, I served for 6 months in the Villa Vrindavan Gurukul in Florence. And at one point, of course at the time the movement was strong, there was money coming from the central, we could say, department. But at one point in the school, everybody, all the teachers had children in the Gurukul. One lady had 6 children in the Gurukul. Another one, 2, was also a teacher. So nobody was paying. Because I'm teaching. It's understandable. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying, I have 1 child. You have 2 children. I have 3 children. We are all teachers. So who pays? Nobody pays. So, in other words, that education should be obviously financially viable. Urmila Devi was telling her experience in North Carolina. She also ran a school. And she was saying, some parents, unless you remember to pay monthly, they will not pay. Some parents will pay, well, like as a point of honor, as a point of duty. Obviously, my child is a Gurukul, I pay every month. Some parents would you have to kind of remember, hey, you got to pay. You can't go on like that. How much can you go on like this,
So Prabhupada is saying grihasthas to pay for it?
Yeah, they say if they had children, they had to pay for Gurukul.
The parents will pay.
Yeah. But obviously, at the beginning, if, say, for instance, we have a vision for Varnashram, if there is no school, you cannot just ask, there is no school, there's nothing. The Grihastha may not trust to say, hey, what should I pay? There's nothing. So ISKCON as a society may need to, okay, this is a Gurukul building, these are the teachers, this is the curriculum, and then, like, say for instance, the Avanti school, right? It was organized, and then parents are confident. No, oh, there is something. So you cannot start from zero and ask the Grihastha to give money. You got to give something that they can contribute to. Now, Gurukul, why not? So why we see, and I'm talking frankly here, you're leaders and you're devotees of experience, dedicated. So why not? Why there is no interest much? You are in Krishna consciousness since 3 years, right? 3 years. How many lectures you heard stressing Gurukul? Huh? One or two. See, in 3 years, Prabhu is very serious devotee, attending everything. Nobody talks about that, right? Nobody talks about that. Why? Why there is no interest? I analyze 5 reasons. First, our past haunts us. There was abuse, different types of abuse. Some just neglect, it's a form of abuse. Some was sexual, some was beating the children. There are different fires. So our past as a society haunts us. So for some leaders, especially the senior leaders, when you say Gurukul, oh, they start fibrillating. They start, for them, just the concept, for some of them, the concept of Gurukul is radioactive. Like, whoa, I won't touch it. So we need to go beyond trauma. Yes, we made many mistakes. It's a fact. We didn't apply Srila Prabhupada's recipe. It's like if you cook halava, but you don't put the things, you don't put butter, you put the speculate, or you put the worst things, then you know how that halava will taste. It will not even be halava. So, we also have to consider other things were not stopped. We also had trouble, for instance, in the Grihastha ashram. Many people divorced. Many people divorced twice. Some people divorced thrice. But we have not stopped Grihastha life. People still enthusiastically get married, or at least try to. So, or building temples. Sometimes we had trouble in India. There's some Ritviks stole temples. One big temple they stole. They tried to steal also Calcutta. They couldn't, but still, people still build temples. They don't say, oh, maybe something like that. No, they build temples. They get married. But Gurukul is more like, whoa, you know. So that's the first reason. Second reason, I call it new convert syndrome. Many of us join ISKCON later in life. We were already adults, young adults. So we may think that I didn't go to Gurukul, I'm doing okay. Why do our children need it? We see so many senior devotees, serious devotees, then they didn't go to Gurukul. So we may think, well, it's not really needed, you know. But actually, Srila Prabhupada said it is super needed. Number 3, there's no money in it. So if we are a little bit on a Vaishya trajectory, Gurukul is not attractive. There's no money. There's no money. In fact, you get to sometimes struggle just to maintain a thing. So if people are more into the trajectory of Vaishya, then they're not attracted to Gurukul. No more. I mean, I don't need to elaborate on that. 4, is very important. There's sometimes a lack of goodness. See, it takes sattva guna, it takes a lot of patience. You have a child, which is a little being, 5 years old, you know, it's a human being, but it's still very undeveloped. Very years even before he reaches puberty. and you got to take that little creature and keep it for 10 years, 15 years, sometimes 20 years. Who wants to do that? If we are passionate, and passionate, I'm not saying in a sinful way, passionate in the sense we want to do things, we want to be active, we want to see the world. Then we don't want to stay with this kid for 20 years, right? We want to go join this, even if we are clean, we want to join the Sankirtan party, go and serve, we'll go to Vyasa Puja, go to this, go to Vrindavan, go to Mayapur, go to MI. Who wants to stay with these kids for 20 years, 10 years? So it needs people who enjoy giving knowledge. And sometimes you don't find so many. There are, but some people enjoy other things, other devotional activities. I'm not criticizing, I'm just saying, in the mood of Varnashram, different people have different natures. So you need people who have the nature because it takes time. And then there's no material reward. Sometimes you work for 10 years on a child, and then obviously you don't get any credit in one sense. He goes on in life, he does become president or something, whatever, or no, steady grihasta. Nobody's going to glorify you. Sometimes we see even a young book distributor, a new Bhakta distribute books. Bhakta Otto distribute 18 books, very nice. I'm not saying we should not glorify Bhakta Otto. I'm just saying that it's a different mood, it's a different vibe, it's a different wave. Number 5, lack of faith. Sometimes, especially if we know these instructions from Srila Prabhupada, we may think, it doesn't really work. That was 50 years ago. And then we do other things. So that's my analysis why there's no more focus on Gurukul. Personally, I think is the most important thing in Varnashram. For me, there are 2 main pillars in Varnashram. One is Gurukul, and one is breastfeeding. Children need to spend time, years, on the body of the mother. Then you have sane people, normal people.
Why you chose this picture, tsunami with the cyclones?
It's a biblical thing. It's a Moses walking when the part departed. It's a bit... But he had faith in God. This man, Moses, had faith in God, so he led the Jewish people from Egypt, where they were slaves, back to Israel, where now they could do what they're doing in the Gaza. Sometimes we don't have faith, Like, if he had no faith, God said, take the people, bring it to Israel. And he said, no, I have other priorities. So similarly, as a society, I'm not talking this or that. There are so many thousands devotees, fantastic devotees, totally dedicated. But as a society, we don't even talk about this aspect of the founder Acharya. We don't talk. We kind of almost gave up. Maybe not officially, but when you neglect one thing, it's like book distribution. Nobody may preach against book distribution, but if you have a temple who never distribute a book, doesn't buy a book, that means you gave up. You may not say, I am against book distribution. Nobody will say that. But if you're not distributing them, nobody in your community talks about that, means you gave up. Okay, so what's the alternative? Srila Prabhupada says, this is a public lecture. Don't spoil your children. The modern educational system without any knowledge of Bhagavan, I may tell you frankly, not only in India, everywhere, they are practically slaughterhouses. In India, the suicide rate for students is like 4 times the national average. Male students. For female students, the suicide rate is about 7 or 8 times the national average. That's a schooling in India. In India, although it's the largest country in the world by population, and it has got a lot of tradition of university thousands of years ago, there is not even one institute, one college listed in the first 500. They're really bad. They're really bad at education. The best institution in India is the Mayapur Institute. Room conversation in London. I have seen intelligent boy, they go to school and he's spoiled. Yes, spoiled. He learns how to smoke, how to have sex, how to talk nonsense, how to use knife. Now guns. How to fight. And it's true. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's tragic if you see in the newspaper. Kids come with a gun that kills people.
A few days ago, one boy stabbed another boy and
In India. Yeah, even in India now. How to talk nonsense, how to fight. This thing simply slaughterhouse. This so-called school is called slaughterhouse. Yes, slaughterhouse. I don't have time to explain. This is Sir Anderson. There are some very nice YouTube videos. He explains how modern education is on the model of industrialization. He explains historically how it came, and India is 100% like that. This is I can share this PowerPoint if you like, but this is a link to a very, very powerful lecture. In other words, even non-devotees or not, non-Vaishnavas, they recognize that the education in all over the world is just wrong. So children get brainwashed with the Big Bang, militia culture, evolution, sex, drugs. This is a cartoon from India. See, people come here up, and then they go into the education system. All the intelligence means discriminating, thinking power, the discipline, the creativity go, and then they go and get out from a degree. And then they go to America, they get a job, and now they're getting fired because AI is taking all the jobs. What was the news that we saw this morning? How many people got fired from, what was that? Cisco. We know people who work at Cisco, and just this morning, so many people will be just laid off. Okay, last 2, 3 lecture on Bernard. There is no education, actually. The modern education is simply a craftsmanship. They just learn how to do things that they can market. Krishna never says that you send your children to the university and make them fools and rascals, so one who is depending on job is Shudra. That is not education. Unless he gets a job, his education is useless. Therefore, is Shudra, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, they will create their own means of livelihood. The modern education means to create dogs. The dog goes door to door and moves the tail. Please give me if you have anything. In Vedic culture, no Brahmana will accept any job, no Kshatriya will accept any job, no Vaishya will accept any, only Shudras. But we don't want to see our children like this coming out. We want our children like this. This is an old photo in Vrindavan going to Yamuna. We want to see our children being taught at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, getting the values, the knowledge, and then in life they'll do other things. And I'm not saying that they should not go to college. Just yesterday there was this thing that the youngest solicitor in the UK. You saw that news? Tapamisha Prabhu, younger daughter, became the youngest solicitor in the UK. She's very smart. She was already, Bhakti Vaibhav when she was 9 years old. So, devotees will do different careers because they have to be in the world. So most of them, but we want them to. This is a photo from the Gurukul in Nova Gokula, Brazil. It is also in the Hare Krishna world video many years ago. Dhamantari Maharaj still going strong in education, but he shifted more to adult education. So I wrote a book, compiled. It's called How to Mess Up Varnashram by Underestimating Women and Neglecting Gurukul. So half of that is on Sri Dharma, and half of that is on Gurukul. You can download it for free. You know this site, archive.org. It's a site where they archive everything. So I put this book there. You go there, Kaunteya does. You can download it for free. There are many more quotes from Srila Prabhupada on Gurukul, on Varnashram College, and so on. Thank you for your attention, your patience. We have 2-3 minutes. If anybody likes to share a reflection. Okay, 1 and 2. So let's keep it
I was traveling
succinct.
in India.
Ah.
I was studying in my Gurukul, so medical education I did. Also studied with Maharaj, Manusmriti. I came in 97 at the age of 22 or 23. I was allowed to get some education in my Gurukul. But as I was traveling, I've seen that other societies, also quite young, like there's one speaker, Bhagavad speaker, Ramesh Bhai Ojha, and I happened to travel and I came across a big, huge building, just like a university building. And I asked, look, what is this? He said, this is the Gurukul of Ramesh Bhai Ojha, a very powerful Bhagavad speaker in India. And one thing struck me very much is that he had the Brahminical part separate. That big building where all the computers and stuff like that is for the other, awareness. You don't hear them to having any kind of issues with child abuse and things like that. I also went to Bhagavad Vidyapeeth where they only teach Bhagavatam. And as I spoke to the Acharya, he was asking, do you really have this thing in ISKCON, this child abuse? He said, I want to connect to ISKCON, Ahmedabad. But then I got to hear about this. I just couldn't answer him that it is true. So in that sense, for myself, I like to work with kids and teach them. I like to do dramas, but there is no scope. And that's, especially nowadays, they ask me, what's your qualification? Well, my qualification was that I jumped out of university to join ISKCON. At the time, it was great, renunciation. I was like, you couldn't make it. Therefore, you became brahmachari. So it's like shifting.
See, leaders in other spiritual community, religious community, they understand this. I mean, the Christians, they live and thrive in India by what they call a convent education. Srila Prabhupada went to Christian school. His children went to Christian school. And it still nowadays is respected. They know that even the Hindus send the children to what they call in India convent school. So we should be the people, the children, the parents send the children to. That's what Srila Prabhupada did. Unfortunately, he was not there for long. He started Gurukul, 72, 73, no? And then he stayed only 3-4 years. He pushed so much, but then he left, and then, Otherwise, Srila Prabhupada gave the same emphasis. But unfortunately, he left, and we know the history. Last comment or question from Mataji?
I'm from Ukraine.
Ah.
In Ukraine before war, we had 4 Gurukulas in the main cities of the country, and now we have 2 very good Gurukulas.
Thank you. This is encouraging. So it's all based on leadership, really. That's my experience. If the leaders have this value and they put their head, they put their brain, and they put their good men in charge, they invest. In other words, it's an investment. Because you don't get anything. You don't get anything, right? You don't get money. You're not going to get rich. And these children, they start for 10 years, you may not see anything. You may not get a pujari, you don't get anything. You just need that understanding that working for the future. Some services, for 2 hours now is breakfast. Some people have what you call have cooked for Krishna and for us. So that's complete. You do 2 hour service, it's complete. Now we get breakfast. We'll go in 1 minute. But some service, it takes 20 years, 10 years. It's just the nature of thing. Like you write a book, you cannot do it in 2 hours. It may take you months of research. And so similarly, we are fortunate that you have leaders who value that, and you have devotees who dedicated their life. I mentioned breakfast, so it's very delicate, but as if it's a quick question. I guess, can she? Okay.
You told about 4 varnas and 4 ashrams, yeah?
Ah,
In Ukraine, we have only 2 ashrams, brahmachari and sannyasi, and we
no griestas.
don't, excuse me, brahmachari and grihastha.
Uh-huh.
The leader of Ukraine Yatra said that sannyasa is cancelled on.
It's cancelled.
I don't know how it's in English. Excuse me.
Suspended. Or...
We have no in Kali Yuga we have no sannyasa, and that's why we have no vanaprastha ashram.
I would say that this is not to be discussed 1 minute before breakfast. It's obviously it's a vast discussion, huh? And it's not like a yes/no answer. So thank you again. But as you could see in the quote, Srila Prabhupada said these great kings could become vanaprastha because they went to Gurukul. You follow? So if we have a strong Gurukul, then eventually we can have strong 4 ashrams. Thank you. Grantara, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.